write a function. Let's say you have a function. I'm gonna use int. You can say int, let's say get data again. So in this int get data, I'm gonna use the same as int. I will say int x. I will say int x and int y. In the same function, you can ask a user to enter these two. It's still the same function that I'm writing. You can say ask a user to enter the score. But now, because we are using the int function, the return one. So this one here, you can say return. For example, if you wanted to return the addition of them, you can say return x plus y. It will work. It's a return type function, so it will work. So remember, if you have many functions that you are writing in your program, and you still want to use the two numbers like x here and x there, you can reference them with this. You put reference, then you can be able to access this. It's like you are sending the memory allocation of this x to another function. And if you have exactly the same, and then let's say, for example, in this function you're going to be having int, you say maybe int z. So these two functions, you find they are having two same names, everything. So this is what we call it overloading. We call it overloading functions. They are called overloading functions. That's why, like, you see like that, it can be even up to 7. It's up to you. They are called overloading function.
Okay, can I ask a question? So when you say you are referencing the parameters, does that mean that when you input them on the first function, on the second one, they will use the ones that you inputted on the first function towards their reference
Can you
parameters?
repeat your question?
So let's say you are inputting x and y, and you've made them reference parameters.
Yes.
Does that mean going forward in the program, the value of x and y will be that of the one that you inputted in the first function of get data?
Okay. Yes, I can say yes, because if you, for example, when you reference them, if you use it to another function, but in this way we have made our function to be overloading, and we are inputting another one now, you see. So which means this value is going to be changing.
Okay, if you didn't input them, they were going to be the same. If you didn't ask for them again, they're going to be the same as the first
they
ones.
won't be, because what happens, when I say they won't be, is because what happens here, when you send, you don't send the number inside, you send the memory allocation of that x. It's like x, you are creating a folder. You see, it's like you are creating a folder that you're going to name it x. Like the way you create a folder in your laptop, you will say school, maybe, for example. You know that in this folder, everything about related to school is going to be inside that folder. But this folder, it have a location. It can be in desktop, it can be in documents, or it can be in this PC.
Okay.
You see, so the same rules applies here. This x is like a folder, but it have memory where it belongs. So we only send memory, so which means those values are going to be in the same memory.
Okay, so that's the point of referencing by parameters.
Yes, you send the memory allocation. That's why that's what happens. But this function is gonna evolve in its own data.
Okay.
Yes, but you are using the same memory allocation. They are stored in the same memory.
Okay.
Yes, that's what happens. So now when you're working with this, for example, let's say I write a code. I just want to do something very nice using namespace. So in functions, we have something called what is it? Not function call. I will remember just now. I'm just gonna tell you, but I will tell you what I'm talking about. There is a specific word for it. If you are writing a function, sometimes some people, they prefer to start with an int on top. You can say int main. So when you say int main, after that you write whatever that in the int main there. Then you find that, okay, your function, you have int get data. This int get data, we're gonna use the same method. I should have deleted. This one I'm gonna say it's a function whereby it's going to return. That word I wanted to tell you is prototype. Is going to return this job of this function, just to return x plus y. So based on this, your answer, I can say to you, it will, when you put a function, that question of yours, it does record those value of x. It's just that those value, it can be changed within the program. Because when you write a function like this, I'm going to create another function. I say maybe void. You see, this is void for get info. I will say info. Info. So in this function void get info, I will say int x and int y. Then I'm gonna reference, because I'm going to use this. I'm referencing them. So yes, you can access those values, but the point is that you are sending not those values, you are sending the memory allocation, which means in this code, it depends on how you wrote your function. Because if you check in this code here, I'm not going to ask cin again in the int get data, or I can just say results, get int results, or calcu. Let me just say calcu. So here is when I can ask a user, I can say cout So now here, this function is going to return the addition of those two numbers. Let me make them. So now, without your program, if you start on top here with int main, without your program having the prototype on top, it won't work. So if after that I'm going to say, okay, I will call my function. When you call your function, you can still use int x is fine, and int y, int x and y in the main, so that you can put them, or you can say a and b. It does not matter. Let me just use different letters b. Then we can call this function get info. You can see, we can see it there. Get info, it have two parameters, which is a, we're gonna use a and b. We called it. We can still call get what calcu, not get, is called calcu, the second one, calc. So calcu, even if we call it like cal, it will need to output those results. It need what? It need us to put a cout, because there is no cout there. You can just say cout here. You say cout calcu. Then when we have this, our program, it won't work. Our program code, it won't work at all. You see, it does not know what is get info, because it's not declared. So which means that's when I say you will need to do what? You will need to have a prototype. So writing a prototype, you just write the function as